Hey, Denise. Okay, so I'm going to try to answer these questions in a clear way. All right, so before we started the training on project-based learning, I really thought it was more like project-based assessments. For example, I would give my kids projects to do after they had already been taught the material, kind of as an alternative assessment. After our training, our first day of training on PBL, I realized that it's giving the kids a project, and then they are learning new material through the project. So my concern after starting the academy was, how in the world am I going to teach math with them learning through a project? It seemed a little baffling to me about how to present lessons in a way where the students were in charge of their own learning, but that they would learn a lot of the material on their own, with a little teacher guidance. So that was my main concern, was how was I going to do this with math? After completion of the academy, I was starting to feel more confident that my kids were going to be able to be successful in this, and that I was going to be able to be successful at creating a project where the students would feel motivated to learn the material on their own. My first project was a zombie project where the kids had to use factoring trinomials to decipher a zombie code. And it went incredibly well. I was very pleased with the results. When we were asked to choose what our first project would be about, I chose that particular topic because that topic was very stressful last year teaching, and so I wanted to make it easier. I wanted to reach the kids better than I felt like I had done the previous year. This year, after the project, nobody left my classroom crying after I taught the material, and that included me. So no crying in math class to me means success. Last year, when I taught the AC method for factoring a trinomial that has a coefficient in front of the x squared other than 1, my kids were so frustrated with trial and error, so I went to the AC method, and they still were really frustrated with that. They didn't trust me that was an easier way. This year, with the zombie project, I let them struggle for a good 10-15 minutes on trying to factor those problems on their own by using trial and error. And they got to the point where they were frustrated enough that when I showed them a sure way to do it, the AC method, my first period actually applauded after I showed them that method. That was much different than last year, where my kids were still just really frustrated and not understanding why they needed to do it that way, and questioning me, like basically not trusting me that this was the best way to do it. This year, they were so happy to see that method. It completely changed my entire unit. It was much better. So I guess that pretty much touches on my experiences with my students. I gave them some questions to fill out after our zombie project, and they were all very excited about the project. They thought it was a fun way to learn. They felt like they had more control over their learning, that they could learn at their own pace. They liked working in the groups. Most of them. I did have some kids who said they don't like working with other people, but that's something, they're going to have to work on for the rest of their lives. The majority of the feedback that I have received from students was they loved the project. And we have now started a second project with solving quadratic equations by different methods. And I'm using a jigsaw to teach it, which I've never done before with math. I used to use it all the time teaching history. But I'm excited. I think it's going to work out well. The kids are excited to do another project. It's gone very well. It really has changed my perspective on teaching. It is a lot of work getting them launched, getting the projects launched and putting everything together the first time. But slowly I'm going to add to my repertoire of projects, and hopefully over the next couple of years, by the end of the next couple of years, I'll be able to just do projects. And I think I'll be happy that way. I think the students will be happy that way. So I hope that was not too much of a roundabout, and that I was able to answer the questions directly enough. And I'll be seeing you on the 12th. Thanks.